There are certainly tons of great movies to watch around Halloween, and it's often too hard to say which one is the best one. But to me, there is no film that better embraces the spirit of this holiday than Coraline, a stop-motion animated movie by Henry Selick, based on a Neil Gaiman's novel. The movie is the feature debut of Laika, the best stop-motion animation studio in the world, or at least the most well-known. Despite producing a number of really good flicks, Coraline remains Laika's most recognizable project to this very day, and it's honestly not hard to tell why. This is just a really good movie. I watched Coraline for the first time in 2015. Back then, all animation I knew were Disney and Pixar 3D cartoons, some occasional Disney Channel stuff like Gravity Falls, and a decent amount of anime too. But I'd never seen anything that looked like Coraline. I was genuinely impressed by how amazing the film looked. Later I would learn about stop-motion animation and even try to create stop-motion myself, albeit not very successfully yet. It requires tons of really hard work. After watching Coraline, I read the original book by Neil Gaiman. Specifically for this video, I read the book again, so in this video I say, instead of just praising the movie, I decided I should compare the two versions of Coraline to see how they're different, what the movie did better than the book, and in what ways the original story is better than the animation. Usually when it comes to adaptations, books are almost exclusively better story-wise, but Coraline is certainly a rare exception to this rule. Before we begin, I would like to ask you to support this channel by leaving a comment and subscribing. This will help YouTube algorithms to spread my video further to my potential audience. Now, let's return to the video essay. First and biggest difference is the character of Wybie. He was created specifically for the film. While reading Gaiman's book for the first time, I was surprised that Wybie wasn't in the story. You see, the difference between a novel and a film is that in a novel we actually know what characters think about. In a film we can't hear what characters are thinking about unless it is a specific artistic choice. In a book we see how Coraline is exploring the vicinity of the pink house. How she thinks about the well being allegedly so deep that it is always dark down there. In the movie we hear all of that from Wybie. Because of Wybie, Coraline says out loud what she only thinks in the book. I personally don't like Wybie for one simple reason: the ending. In the book, Coraline is very smart, so she comes up with the idea of how to get rid of Beldam's hand. She tricks the hand into falling into the well with the key. This is a cool ending, even though I always thought that it would have been easier to just catch the hand and destroy it somehow. The hand can always crawl out of the well. The well isn't a guarantee that Beldam's hand won't return to Beldam. Yes, the well is very deep and it's sealed, but still, it's not a guarantee. In the movie, Coraline doesn't come up with any clever plans. The hand almost takes the key from the girl, and Wybie saves the day at the very last moment. I, and not only I, but Neil Gaiman himself and lots of other people thought that this heavily contradicted the main idea of the story, that a smart little girl overcomes her fears and saves herself and her family. In a commentary to the book, Gaiman mentions how lots of women emailed him, telling him that Coraline helped them to overcome their fears and get braver. And getting saved by a next-door boy feels extremely out of place in the context of Coraline. This was certainly the worst creative choice by Henry Selick. Wybie himself, not my favorite character obviously, but I see why he was needed in the story. Again, most of the book Coraline spends alone, and without a partner, Coraline would have mostly been a silent movie. One other thing that is better in the book is that the book is simply creepier. As I said, most of the story Coraline is completely alone. She is alone in the other world searching for marbles. She alone faces all the creepy things that Beldam creates. This scene where Coraline gets attacked by the other father is scarier in the book. Coraline encounters him in a dark room or basement. It's almost like a scene from a horror film. The scene lasts longer than in the movie. In the adaptation, Beldam uses special gloves to control the other father, but in the book she uses psychological violence against her creations, thus compelling them to do whatever she wants. In one scene, Coraline encounters a big dead spider in a bathroom. This scene was replaced by Coraline killing some leeches at the beginning of the movie. A huge dead spider would probably have been too creepy for kids. Other Miss Pink and Miss Forcible are way scarier in the book. Plus the tunnel between the worlds itself is some sort of ancient eldritch monster, which is probably even more ancient than Beldam herself, and Beldam just discovered it and used it to connect to the Pink House. What was certainly way better in the movie is how Beldam's world was presented in general. In the book it feels creepy from the beginning when Coraline enters it. Coraline never really wants to stay in that place. In the movie, however, the other world feels whimsical and magical at first. The dinner, the garden, the performances by Spink, Forcible and Bobinski, it all looks amazing. If I were a child, I would totally wanna stay there, instead of returning to my boring, neglectful parents and my boring school where I can't even wear what I like wearing. And Coraline almost decides to stay in Beldam's world, until Beldam offers her to sew the button in place of ice. Beldam in the movie certainly knows better how to lure kids and make them stay. Book's Beldam is very similar to Jack Torrance from Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, because in the movie Jack Nicholson looks very intimidating from the very beginning. How did Book Beldam even compel kids to stay with her is a mystery. The other world in the movie gradually turns into a horror show from being really beautiful at the beginning. The movie isn't just a story, obviously, it's so much more. I like the book, it was a very good read, but the movie has amazing puppet animation and great music that I really enjoy listening to, especially when Halloween time is coming. It's just perfect to create an atmosphere of mystery and spookiness. Coraline remains one of my absolutely favorite animated films of all time. And I can't even stress enough how much I appreciate the titanic amount of work spent on this animation. Everything that we see on screen, or at least almost everything, was created in real life. Watching Laika's BTS materials is pure joy. Watching how puppets and decorations practically come to life is really impressive. Animators had to come up with many creative ways to make the movie look as compelling as it does. As a result, we have probably the best stop-motion animated movie in history, and simply perfect story for Halloween that everyone will enjoy. Coraline is a story of finding your inner strength and prevailing against your fears, something that will always be relevant, I am sure of it. Thanks for watching this video till the end. Happy Halloween if you're watching this on Halloween, of course. I know there is a certain amount of my subscribers who watch all my videos and support me in the comments. I'm currently having some financial troubles. I'm thinking of creating Patreon. It would be really nice if you could support me on Patreon to help me to get through financial difficulties I'm facing now. So what do you think? Please leave a comment.